Can you?
Okay, so as a little intro, I'm Victoria, the Rapid Renegade. I specialize in energetics and subconscious reprogramming and helping people like these lovely ladies who are sitting with me today to completely retransform their lives and to take their pain and really use it as a catalyst for growth. And so I want to introduce Molly and Kathy. And I would love, Molly, if you would share, um, how we met and how you ended up introducing me to Kathy and who Kathy is in relation to you.
Okay. So I found you on TikTok. I was just scrolling along, watching all of my spiritual gurus, and here you came. And so I just felt like I connected with you immediately. And I know some people who watch a lot of those types of things understand that, there's some people where you're just like, no, I just don't feel it. And then there's other people where you're like, whoa, who's that?
I see you, you see me.
Who are you? But yeah, so it was kind of like that. And then, it kind of just went from there. I know I reached out and I was like, I think this is something I could benefit from. And then I started kind of watching your lives and things like that. And then I was on one, and then this is my mom, Kathy, and we talk, we're really close. We talk about everything. So, we've had a lot going on in our lives, and medically mom's been through a lot lately. So once I got to know more about actually, I think after we were on that live that day, I called her and I was like I'm just like, this happened and this happened and this happened, and she was like, okay.
I didn't understand what she was talking about, honestly. I was like, I don't understand this. So
yeah.
anyway.
That is so funny. I could totally see this happening too. It's like Molly just a mile a minute being like, I feel transformed.
Yeah.
Hey, anything that helps us, I'm
I
all
know,
in.
literally.
So I want to go back kind of to that live. I haven't hosted like a lot of them. And that day I was hosting a live and I was planning on facilitating a PSYCH-K session for somebody in my audience. So we had been going back and forth and we planned this time.
Mm-hmm.
And as the universe would have it, she was running late. And then I was like, and we've already rescheduled. And I just kind of was like, does anybody in my audience want a free session? And Molly's like, I do. So
immediately, yes.
yeah. So you came up and you started to share your story about how, well, actually, I want you to share your story. What were you dealing with at that time? And if you can kind of give a background as to kind of what was your emotional state? What challenges were you facing at that time that you came on my live?
So I was in a narcissistic relationship for most of my life, from early on. And so, I'm how old am I now? 45. I'm 45. So I haven't been for the last 5 years, 6 years, I guess now. But a big part of my life and my children's father, and it was rough. It was bad. I didn't understand that until I came out, really. So I was really struggling at the time, and it's hard to look back on that and think like where I was at then, because PSYCH-K works.
Yeah.
So like literally those emotions aren't the same when I think of them now. But I know, it's difficult. And I think a lot of people would be able to understand that it's very difficult to co-parent with a narcissistic person. You're constantly questioning your abilities, you're questioning things that you're doing right. If I do this, what will happen then? You're constantly like trying to think ahead so many steps. And people that have been through it understand that, you're like, if I do this, what will happen? If I don't, what will happen? It's just a constant, and you're exhausted. Your brain is exhausted.
Yeah.
And so from that, I think a lot of things stemmed. I had illnesses that would pop up. I would, I was constantly, my older two boys, in my opinion, were kind of alienated from me.
Not kind of, they were.
Okay.
He's like, I'll set it straight.
Yeah, literally. That was the only thing I've ever wanted to do is be a mom. And so, and he knows that. And
And he knows.
And so that's what it took. And, and so that's where it is. And, I'm going to have to deal with that person for the rest of my life because I have 3 beautiful children with him. But, breaking that cycle and trying to not put the same pain on my children that I have been through. And then also trying to love them through being the main targets now that I've removed myself was very, very hard for me because I'm such an empath.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's kind of where I was at. And
yeah. And so when you came on, I think you'd said you were separated now for what's like 7 years or something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
7. I was trying to count and
yeah, I feel like
not
was,
good.
It's about 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about kind of exactly what you just described of like, you felt like you were kind of always in the mental mess of it and still dealing with a lot of the pain and you were like, what did you say? I'm mad or something. And then we got into the balance and I was like, girl, you're raging. Like it's a rage.
I'm like, come on.
She
Let
was
me at
taught
him.
by her mother to suppress the emotions. Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, does that enough for you. So we transformed that. We transformed that inner, kind of fireworks show that your brain was going through and the emotions you were feeling from any time that you were met with seeing him, hearing his name, dealing with him with your family. And I remember you messaged me on TikTok the day after and you're like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but I feel completely different. And
I did.
like, I think he had come over or something and you were like, I felt nothing.
Yeah. It was his weekend with my youngest and he came to pick him up and usually I'm like out,
Inner rage.
You could have knocked, I didn't even know that he was out there. Like literally to that degree. Unbothered. Did not care.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And that's the power that we have with our subconscious, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if it's been there for 7 years and prior to that, because get real, doing this a lot longer than 7 years divorced. Our subconscious, it doesn't care whether something's been there for 30 minutes or 50 years. It's like, you can transform it when you're ready to. And the beauty of PSYCH-K is that it's like a really quick access to the back door of our nervous system so that we can really, truly have that felt sense of neutrality and peace. And so then you introduced me to Kathy.
Yeah.
And Kathy and I think we had like 5 or 6 sessions, and this bubbly, amazing spirit that you are has had some really hard shit happen. And I remember we went through, I think you emailed me and you emailed me like 12 different diagnoses that you had had with autoimmune diseases and childhood things. And I was like, whoa, right? And so little by little, we worked on that. And I would love for you to share your experience going through this and what you came to kind of realize during our sessions.
Well, after Molly met you and I watched one of your videos and I saw her.
Because I was sending them.
Yeah. I saw her change, she was doing your PR.
Yeah.
I saw her changing and I have been through so many medical procedures and doctors and you know how that goes. You get sucked into that and really not feeling better. And knowing that my whole life I've stuffed down all my emotion from a very emotionally abusive childhood, not physically, but it's just as bad, I think, emotionally. And I knew it. And I've told people, I just stuff it down, put it in a box. Don't, well, that caught up with me big time this year, last year. Everything kind of hit the fan. And last January, I was just sick. I've been sick, with a lot of different things, but
yeah.
So I was like, I'm ready, I need to deal with this crap. And
well, and I think another thing for me, and I think for you now too, as well, we, you know, how many hundreds of dollars have we spent on therapy and all kinds of different modalities, I think is what you say. But like we've used, I don't know, therapy mostly. We've done talked with other psychics. We've done all these things to try to figure out like, why are we stuck in this circular thing? It's like things keep how much money am I spending on going to Marshall's for like shopping therapy because like literally.
I also taught her that.
Yeah, she did.
That's a coping mechanism I taught.
Very much. I have that one, but and
I had that too. I remember I moved home. I was working full time and I think it was my second year of my job. So I was making like, I don't know, $45,000 a year out of college, right? And I moved home with the intention to save money. And I fucking hated my job so much that I spent every single cent. I went to so much retail therapy because I hated my experience of working where I was and who I was working with. And it's like, I actually have never really thought about that, Molly, is like the money, like I always like equated like, okay, I spent a lot of money on therapy and coaching and books and whatever, but like, holy shit, I spent like
coffee,
$100,000 on like legitimately over the course of, whatever, 15 years.
Yeah.
On retail.
And then you think about like, I used to eat when I was stressed out too. So then I was going and spending money on crap food, like literally. And I know a lot of people when they look into the PSYCH-K and they might be like, oh, I can't afford that, or whatever it is that they think, it's going to cost you less in the long run if you just let you deal with the things that we have that are causing all of these other things. I can't say enough.
Well, and I told you before, I worked as an office manager for psychology practice for 11 years. I watched people go every single week, $150 a shot for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw what you did with me the first session. I went to therapy for 5 years when my son became ill. What you did with me in the first session was like 2 or 3 years of therapy, because it takes so long to tell your stupid stories and your, all that crap.
Take your homework and go home and try it, and then come back and be like,
that didn't. I mean, I used to go to my psychiatrist to go, that didn't really work for me.
No.
Or I'd get to the point where I was like, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to do that. So come up with another, and what you did was just like crazy efficient.
It is crazy efficient. And it's, so many people I think have been where we all have been. It's like, because we don't necessarily promote or know about things like I do, right? And it's like by the universe having it that you see it, that all of a sudden you're like, wait, what is this thing? And I think it comes when you're ready. But like thinking back to your first session, a lot of what we worked on was because you're an extreme empath and you were feeling the pain of your children and you had imbalances and you had these trapped emotions and you had all of this kind of bubble up to the surface all at once. And, we worked around your diagnosis of lupus and, actually forgiving your mom. And so it's like,
which I thought I had done.
Yeah. And all of these things contribute to our pain, our illnesses, our diseases and so many of my clients go, I thought I worked on that. I thought I forgave so-and-so. I thought I moved on.
Right.
But really it's like the conscious mind did, and you can pathologize it and you can rationalize it and you can understand it, but you didn't do the work on the subconscious level to truly feel relief, to truly feel forgiveness for this person or for yourself. And I just thought like, I don't know, I just wanted to bring that up because, so many people are in that position where they're faced with autoimmune diseases and they're faced with, I met a woman 2 days ago who just got diagnosed with breast cancer 2 weeks ago, right? But she's had autoimmune issues her whole life. Very similar situation to you, where neglectful kind of parents emotionally. And you know, we tend to think like, oh, I'm sick, so I need to treat this symptom. And your subconscious understands what's underneath it. Like what actually caused this in the first place that probably happened 50 fucking years ago. Like,
Yeah.
and so the work that we did really addressed, in my opinion, you know, those underlying emotional wounds that were contributing to that lived experience that you're having now that our rational, conscious mind, therapy mind can't figure out, you know?
Right. Right. And I want to say too, the physical feeling I had while we were doing that and releasing that, and I felt heaviness in my chest. And then when we were done, I just felt it leave. I
Yeah.
felt light, and that was weird, but it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, you're skeptical at first, like, is this really? But it did. It was just like I physically felt it leave my body, which was
Yeah.
amazing. So,
I was with a man today who has been carrying a lot of guilt around his marriage and things. And after the first session, he was like, whoa. Like, and that's the experience of most people when their first balance. It's like I remember yours, Molly, you were like, I don't even feel anything. Like, I can't even get there. It was like, but because it happened in the matter of, you probably were only in that balance for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that long.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like the thing that you related to 2 minutes ago and had such an emotional reaction to is just gone. And you're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like,
Yeah, because I was legit trying to make myself pissed off. Like,
yeah.
I was like, can't be happening after all this time. Are you kidding me? But
Yeah. And it is,
there it
and
went.
it's hard to, I was explaining this to somebody today. It's like trying to, and I've never done psilocybin, but it's like, it's trying to explain a psilocybin trip to somebody who's never done psilocybin. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you have to actually experience the balances. You have to experience that transformation. And it's something that only you experience because
Mhm.
you're in it. You're in this conscious state of awareness, you know, unlike maybe hypnotherapy or something where it's like you're so conscious of what's going on and the shifts and the changes and it's happening so rapidly. And then you have this like these breakthroughs where it's almost like, you know, you guys both have had this where it's like your wisdom from your higher self comes in. And I remember our first session, I forget what was the message that you got, Molly, and you were going to get it.
I am enough.
I am enough. So your
And
wisdom came in and said, I am enough. Like, I don't need all of this. Like, I don't need to repeat this. And then we integrated that belief for you.
yep,
And it's like when we believe that, it completely transforms our entire existence.
it does.
And so talking about kind of the problems that you were facing, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, how do you relate to it now? Like when you think, like you even said, it was hard for me to even get back to that place. So
Mhm.
how do you guys relate to kind of what you were dealing with now? And this really wasn't, you know, Molly, we only had 2 sessions, right?
I know.
So it's like,
And I'm like, better.
yeah,
Some people would probably think not, but
and there's
I
always
just,
room for opportunity, but
I mean,
I'm
I
basically
don't,
perfect.
yeah, the easiest thing that I can and it's not necessarily this, maybe it is, you can tell me, but I feel like the water was on and we turned it off.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way because, you know, there were so many feelings wrapped around in all of that, and guilt and shame and anger and rage and, all of those things but then to be like, we text back and forth now. He says, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay. I would have literally sent, like,
true.
don't text my phone. Don't text my
Lose
phone.
my number.
Literally. And I knew that wasn't an option. It's like, dang it. I love my youngest, but yeah, it's like, gosh, how much longer do we have to do this? Forever. That's how it felt to me then. Yeah. But now it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's a past experience that, you know, we both lived, and, you know, I'm sure we both have very different versions of what that lived trauma was. But for me, it's not that anymore. I don't relate to who that person was who felt it that way anymore.
And it's made it easier for Grayson too. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
would.
pent
Yeah, that's
up-
a perfect
yeah.
segue, Kathy, because I was gonna say, like, it was what was it, maybe a month ago, you texted me and you were like, guess what we're doing this weekend? And you guys were all getting together to go to Italian food with your
Oh,
yeah.
brother. And like, so your family dynamic, like before we started working together, like Molly, you and your brother were not getting along. Your two
No, I'll
oldest
fight
were
him
like,
too.
kind of like detached from you. It was killing Kathy and her middle name guilt to like feel all of that.
Literally. Yeah.
And so, you know, after doing the sessions with Kathy, after doing the sessions with you, what is your family dynamic like now? And how is that different from before you worked on this?
Let me answer first. After my last session with you, I believe, and we dealt with some things, and she had been working too. I mean, I'm glad we're both working on it together because I think the quickness of it has been magnified
Yeah.
for sure. Within a day or two, I don't know, Trevor, our son, I shouldn't say his name, he contacted Molly and apologized for everything he's ever done. And they worked out a lot of stuff and cried, and it really was very productive. And then what was it, the next day you called your oldest boys?
Yeah, I think so.
That
Yeah.
led to her contacting her oldest boys.
It was like steps, like immediate.
It was,
steps.
I told you, Victoria, it was like a ripple over water. And
Yeah.
I saw it and I felt it.
It's like the dam broke and everything was let loose.
But the weird thing is that I didn't know that had happened. I didn't know that
No.
you had that session with her. I thought that my annoying brother was going to keep texting me for hours on end until I finally yelled at him. And then we did. We got it out and we cried and we yelled and we whatever. And then I was like, okay.
And then she took the next step with her boys who've been mostly estranged because of their dad. He filled them with poison, basically, and against all of us who we'd all been super, super close and supportive and loving. And, you know, so that just facilitated that. And then they apologized to her finally after years.
And I did to them.
And she apologized
I
too.
mean,
I mean, that is enormous in our family because there was all these.
We're all very stubborn.
Yeah.
I know you don't know that.
Not me.
I don't. That's
She
so
and her
shocking.
dad.
I've seen the inner workings.
her
She
dad.
knows what's going on
It's
in
not
there.
me. I'm guilty. She's stubborn.
That I think you have a little bit of stubbornness too. There's
Now,
only
come on now.
one way that you can get all of
okay.
those emotions shoved down for so many years, and it is through stubbornness.
Damn it. She knows everything.
Both sides. I've said that all along.
I'm like,
But-
hold on, Kathy, hold on.
Come on, give me some grace. Let me go here. But watching that, like we have Shelties. We love Sheltie dogs, and they herd and they pull their people in, right?
Yeah.
And that's what my personality is. It's like I
Yeah.
can't have one little lamb over here and two little lambs over here and chaos.
It was killing you. It was like it was
Yeah.
the chaos was killing you, and it's just it was so beautiful to get that message and to, you know, because it's like I know that that's true. Like I know that when we do the work ourselves, our relationships change, right? A lot
Yeah.
of us go into therapy trying to figure out the other person and how to get them to change. That was at least my experience. I don't want to say everybody, but
Yeah.
it was like
Lots of
tell my
us.
husband how he could be better and how my mother-in-law doesn't have to be such an asshole to me. But ultimately, they've been my biggest teachers. And when I did that work, everything shifted. Everything shifted around me. And it's like that ripple effect. I think I actually sent an email out yesterday about how like our beliefs don't just impact us, they impact everyone around us. And the perceptions we have about ourselves and others impact how we relate. And so I guess what's been your biggest aha moment of all of this? Like, doing that work and then seeing kind of that really quick transformation of your outside world and your relationships and how that dynamic has shifted.
I think just what we were just talking about for me, just watching my family come back together was, whew, great and worth everything. It
Yeah.
was worth everything to me. So,
Yeah, I love it. All right. So, I would love to know if there's anything else you guys want to share or that you have wisdom about, or to encourage anyone who may be on the fence, or maybe they're just now like discovering what PSYCH-K is, which also, like, don't go to the website because it needs to be rebranded. And I really hate when people go to the website because I'm like, don't judge it on that website. Like,
Yeah.
so caveat, the website for PSYCH-K sucks and it does not do it justice. So
Yeah, I haven't been there, but I would assume that
don't go.
nobody could put that ripple effect into words and be able to be like, oh, I need that, like,
Yeah.
I don't, it's hard.
What's interesting to me is, when you trace it back six generations on my mother's side, and I feel like I can look back to my grandmother and probably her sisters. I mean, I feel like that's where it came from, and they all had a lot of illnesses that I have. And if I can stop that for my daughter and for my grandchildren and their children, I mean, that's what I'm all about. I want all that to stop. I did stop the emotional abuse. I cut that, but doing that, I stuffed a lot of stuff down too. So this fixes the rest of it.
Yeah. And I think I didn't really think about that, of asking you about it, because really it's, when we do this work, it does change everybody else around us, but it also changes our genetic programming, and it changes the activation of our DNA. And by eliminating and by finding and releasing the trapped emotions, like you mentioned 6 generations back on your mom's side, you're not just doing that within your own system, you're doing that for anyone past on spirit realm or present who have that energetic emotion. And the thing is like, we're releasing it in such an easy, beautiful way that it's not like, hey, sit in your guilt for 5 hours and like, let's work through this. It's literally like a few seconds with conscious intention, releasing it, and it's gone. And then, and I think that's been the biggest, I think, misconception of our time is like, people think it has to take a long time and a lot of energy and a lot of mental capacity and a lot of tools and a lot of maintenance and a lot, this whole like gotta work hard thing.
Yeah.
But in reality, you don't have to. And for you, I think the legacy is so important. It's like the family is so important, and you are doing this work for you because you feel bad and you want to be able to like, get up and do stuff and be playful, right, whatever. But more so, I think you're doing it for that reason of, I don't want to pass this along. I don't want to be the one who gives this to the next generation and the generation after that. And I just feel very grateful to be part of the process, and that you guys like trust me enough. And I just feel like I'm like part of your family now.
You are. You come for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Don't
Well,
do
and I think too, like when you were touching on the guilt part, I just want to add, like, if it did go back 6 generations, and we have already discussed, she knows everything that has gone on in my life because she's been there for every part of it. And, her having to stuff that guilt down taught me that's how you close your mouth and you stuff it down. And that's how I lived a lot of my life as well.
Don't make her feel guilty.
No, that's why I'm saying it's
do.
all her fault. We know this. Come on.
Everything is
No, but so she was then not only holding the guilt from what happened to her, but then she's holding guilt because of what happened to me as a result of how I learned. And that's not her fault. She wasn't healed then. And so we had decided, we're breaking generational stuff this right now, like we're done. And I think we've both made that decision that that's what we were going to do. And, you know, the pain and the guilt and the shame and the whatever it was that we were carrying for all of these things. And I don't feel it anymore. I mean, pain. Yeah. I'm old, but
You are not old. You are not old. My grandpa, I think my grandpa was like 95 and he was like, I think I'm going to start taking ginkgo biloba. And I was like, why? Or mangosteen. And I go, why? And he goes, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of old. And I was like,
wow.
I think that's fair. Like you're 95. Like you can
You're
feel
allowed
old.
to now. It's
That
okay.
sounds right.
Yeah,
That's
that's all
But
right.
45? No, don't even try.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've lived a few lifetimes, I guess. Maybe that's why I'm so tired.
Well, you have lived a few lifetimes.
Yeah.
All in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess, you know, for us, it was also what I'm trying to say is it's very important for us to stop the cycle, not continue that. And I feel like we have, you know, I mean, everybody's doing so much better. I think everyone's
Yeah.
health is improving, those types of things.
And her brother, he holds a lot of guilt too, but for good reason. He's bipolar. He's done some things he's not proud of. And, you know, it's taken many, many years, but he's wanted to apologize to her for so long.
Yeah.
He's afraid
But
of
afraid
me.
to.
He's afraid of me.
I mean, I would be too.
I mean, you know,
Oh,
he
God.
used to slip notes under her door, like, don't be mad at me. Please forgive me, you know, when he was little even. But he's more like me, unfortunately. But I'm admitting it to people. Oh my God.
All the people on the interwebs.
All the people know. Probably anybody that knows us would go, yeah, we knew
Yeah,
that.
we know
anyway.
too.
But to see it so quickly after I healed some things for him to reach out, like within days,
Yeah.
that told me everything I needed to know, because he got the strength to do that. And it, like I said, it rippled into a lot of really good things for our family.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's when, Molly, I think we did our second session around that time you were like, I just want to get rid of my jealousy. I just want to be done with it. I don't want to fight this anymore. I want to forgive and I want to move on. And, you know, at the time you saw, because your boys are close with him and
Yep.
you were
That's
having
kind of
that,
what stemmed it. Yeah.
that battle of like, but I want to spend time with them, you know, like I'm missing out on an opportunity to have time with them, but my brother gets this, right?
Mm.
And so can you talk a little bit just about that experience and about really truly letting that go and what perspective change you had from going from feeling jealousy to now, you know, it seems like you're more in a state of gratitude that they have him in their life and that
Yeah.
like, so can you
Definitely.
talk a bit about just that transformation of kind of turning jealousy into gratitude?
Yeah, so I think, you know, one of the things that I really always struggled with was just it stemmed back to not feeling like I was enough.
Mhm.
So people would make choices that weren't me, or they would make choices that didn't involve me, and I always took it so personal. So I don't know that I was always necessarily like so jealous of those people. I just personally felt injured when I wasn't chosen.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I'm the oldest daughter. I don't know. But there's a thing there with me. And so like when we worked on that, it was because like it hurt my feelings that they would spend time with my brother and his wife, who are wonderful people. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like, I don't like you because you see them. It was just like, but what about me?
Yeah.
You know, kind of feeling.
and in fairness, he was trying to keep the lines of communication open. He had
He
good
had the right
intentions.
intentions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it
But
didn't
she
matter.
didn't see
It
that.
didn't not hurt your feelings because of his intentions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think the difference now is it's just, you know, I don't feel that anymore. I feel like, you know, no matter who anyone that I care about spends time with, it doesn't mean that they don't care about me.
Yeah.
They have different relationships with different people, and they're going to experience those however they experience them. And I can't be the end all be all. So I guess I don't know.
It's
That's
true.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
and you know, my husband and I both kind of backed off trying to contact the boys too, because I didn't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
And I knew it, I watched it hurt her and I didn't want to be part of that. So it just healed so much,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
much.
I
I
love
can't
that.
even tell you,
It did.
honestly.
Oh, all right. Well, final words. What would you tell people if they are on the fence about doing this work?
I would say trust you,
Yeah.
because I was skeptical. I have to admit. But when you feel it physically and you see quick healing from it, you lose that skepticism. So I would say don't hesitate. You know, you're going to spend more trying to fix all the things that are wrong with you than you will with sessions with you.
Yeah. And you won't feel as good.
No, you won't. You'll still feel like
Right.
crap. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the same, you know, it's more the immediate results that you can see. And then that's not even the end of it. That's the best part, is that's just the first day. And then you're like, you start to see things different and you start to think about things different and things don't bother you like they used to. Or somebody will say, wow, that's a pretty wise comment that you just made about that. I really appreciate that, you know, or whatever. You change.
Yeah.
The way you show up for people changes because you're not holding on to this pain in the same way anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I know that, you know, people have different reasons for not wanting to get help or wanting to hold on to things, but a lot of people want to get better.
Yeah.
And it's not just you that you're fixing. If you can do this, do it, because it is worth it. And it's not just worth it for you at the moment, it's worth it for the rest of your family.
Yeah. And it's not scary.
No.
I mean, it's not scary like it is to go into a therapist's office, and they're going to ask you a million questions that you really don't want to answer, you know? I mean, I cried, we laughed,
Yeah.
you know, it was such a release.
I cried too, Kathy.
You-
I had
you
moments of
did.
crying.
I can make anybody
We
cry.
cry, we laugh.
Yeah.
But you know, it's two different worlds. Like
Yeah.
therapy's great if that's the way you want to go. But if you want fast results and you want not to be afraid of it, this is the way to go.
Yep.
I tell a lot of my male clients that because I think, not to say all males, but most of them don't really want to talk about their feelings and they don't really have a lot of experience talking about it and they really don't
Right.
want to get into the details. And, you know, I was working with a man who's going through a divorce from a woman who's actually narcissistic. And he basically said, you know, I have this memory etched in my mind and it haunts me. And I said, I don't even need to know about it. Right. And we transformed it and he came out and he was like, it's
know.
just like, I don't have, like, it's gone. It like, it's not that we change what happened, right? It's not that we rewrite history, but it's how we relate to it and how we respond to that memory. Because what happens is we get caught, like you said, Molly, in those loops.
Yeah.
And our mind then triggers an emotional response. And then we're in this like constant state of trauma and reliving our traumas. And, you know, I think part of what's awesome is that it is so fast, it is so effective, but it also, you don't have to get into the stories. And if you don't want to, you know, he did share what it was after, but like, you don't have to. And I guess that's the key is that like, you have it all within you. I just guide you through the process.
Yeah.
And then you're the one who benefits from it, not just in that moment, but like you said, like moving forward, you're a different person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing
We
this.
owe that to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. I will talk to you both soon. I appreciate you guys so much for making the time to do this. Keep me posted on everything. And yeah, I'm sure I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. We'll see you at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, let's do it. Don't dare me. I'm serious. I'll come.
Okay. Come on.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.